It's hailing.
Just started hailing down, just as we're about to film.
Just cleaned the car, going to take some cinematics, and it's hailing. Absolutely.
Typical.
Well, it is 4-wheel drive now. Four wheels. You like that, don't you?
Yeah, it's mint.
So basically this is a Skoda VRS 2017 CHH engine, which is basically a 240 horsepower, 245 or whatever they are. I can't remember. I don't look at the standard power because it's boring. So anyway, 6-speed, 2-wheel drive originally. What we did was originally we put a V3 on this car for customer Dave, and then he was kind of like, do you know what, it's too much for front wheel drive, so he asked us to take it back off again,
right?
Which was, you know, Dave's choice, and he wanted, so we took it back off, and then we put APR stage 2 IS and the IS20 back on. Some people would think, oh, why don't you put an IS38, blah, blah, blah. Dave was just like, do you know what, I want to go back to stage 2 for now and do that. So we're like, okay, that's cool. So we left all the supporting mods on, took the high pressure pump off, and in fact, no, I didn't even think it had a high pressure pump then, because there's only 440 horsepower.
Right.
So, but it was front wheel drive still. The Octavia box is quite long geared as well. So compared to your, you know, GTI boxes, it could be, you know, like quite short geared. So anyway, it was quite wheel spinny with the V3 on, so that came off, and then we put the IS20 back on. Dave was really happy with it. We changed some of the settings on the ESP so that he had where you can turn it completely off and stuff like that. You go in the code on the ABS. Doesn't always turn it completely off. Just depends on what information he's getting from the engine ECU at the same time. So we've now, on this car now, we've now done it so that you don't press the clutch to start. We've inverted it.
Okay.
So to start the car, if you press the clutch, it won't start.
Oh.
So it's kind of like a bit of a head fuck for people who are if they were trying to steal it, they wouldn't get it. That's why when I asked you to move it earlier,
that's what I thought. I was like, what's going on? Yeah.
So anyway, what that does is when you invert it, you have to not press the clutch. So when you first start the car, there's no oil pressure, right? Mm-hmm. So you press in the clutch. And with a stronger clutch, potentially you're putting more pressure on the thrust washers, but you can't have a tuned car without a stronger clutch, so it goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
The problem you can get is that when you're pressing it with no oil pressure in the thrust washers, or on a brand new engine, say, potentially as well, you're shoving the crankshaft into the thrust washers, which could potentially wear them.
Okay.
So if you're the type of person that sits in traffic with your foot on the clutch, that says you don't, but you still do it anyway, you will wear them out, and then what happens is they fall out, and then the crank wanks around and makes a right mess. So we've done it so that you don't. We can't stop people. You just press the start-stop button. It takes like less than a second to press it, and then it turns that off. Okay. So then it doesn't turn itself off in traffic either. So you don't have to press, even though you wouldn't have to press the clutch anyway. Mm-hmm. So, but ultimately, now this car shouldn't have any wear on the thrust washers apart from normal gear changes, which is fine because you've got loads of oil pressure there. So that's kind of fixed that issue that you get with these. We've done a 4-wheel drive conversion as well. So this has had a 2020 Audi S3 complete rear axle in it, diff. It's had a brand new prop shaft for a TDI 4Motion basically, which runs the same box, same length prop shaft as this would. This is 40mm longer than a Golf R, this wheelbase and prop. So although you could run the axle, the prop's not long enough. You'd have to run like a spacer, right, and then run a Golf prop, which is fine. That'd probably work. But we were like, do you know what? Dave's like, let's just get a new prop. So we got a new prop, fitted a new prop. That's got all new bolts. We've used the Racing Line centre prop alignment kit. It's got Racing Line rear subframe alignment kit, Racing Line front subframe alignment kit. It's got full B16 Bilstein coilovers on the car, Super Pro top mounts, cambered top mounts. Right. So we've got nice camber on the front. We've got the Super Pro bush kit in the front arms. as well, which is the extra caster kit, so we've got a bit more caster there as well. Got a Vagbrem Technic 352mm rear brake upgrade. So this car came with a solid rear disc, so what we've done is, because this is a pull-up handbrake, not like a Golf R with electric or an S3, so we use the Seat Leon's Cupra 280, which is a pull-up one but has a vented rear disc. So we use the Seat Leon vented calipers, which were painted black to match the front kit, with a 352mm Vagbrem Technic kit under the brackets, so everything just bolts straight on. Right. You get some mega rear brakes. Then on the front, we've got the Racing Line 6-pot kit in black, and it's the 380mm kit, the bigger kit. So that's your brakes there. Standard brake master cylinder's fine. The pedals rock solid. It's lovely, you know. So, and then we've got Racing Line breather kit. Then we've got Racing Line R600 airbox with the carbon lid.
Yeah, I saw that. It's nice.
Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it? And we've got the 034 Motorsport carbon engine cover, and then I think it's the ECS tuning battery cover in carbon and fuse box cover in carbon.
Right.
It's also got your Racing Line oil cap, dipstick, oil filter housing. We're running the Moroso iAbid bigger sump with the baffles and gates in it, which we run on all our stage 3 engines. So that holds more oil, takes longer to get warm. We run the car on Morris MLR 1050, so we use the Morris oil, which is the preferred oil for us now. And we're running this has got a Helix paddle clutch in it with the billet cover. It had that in originally, so we then uprated it to a Golf R flywheel, because that is different to different flywheel basically to a GTI or a Skoda, so you're able to get a bit more clamping pressure with the Golf R flywheel. We run a different, obviously a Golf R cover and then plate. Then this is a fully built engine, so it's a standard. We haven't ported the head on this engine. This is a completely standard head. Everything's been checked. There was nothing wrong with the head. The only thing we've changed, we've put a Golf R exhaust cam in, because it runs slightly more lift at certain points and more duration.
Right.
So it's mainly extra duration it runs, but that you can be 30 to 40 horsepower down potentially, or you have to map the car very differently. But the extra duration gives you potentially, you know, a lot more power. So we run the Golf R exhaust cam. We're running Marla Motorsport pistons in this car with Carrillo rods.
Okay.
And the Carrillo rod bolts as well. So it's a really, really strong engine. It's got the iAbid billet rear main seal in there. It's all been completely, it's been bored out, honed with it, and it's had new chain tensioner. We put a chain and tensioner in, that's all we put in. We don't change all the rest of the guides because the engine wasn't worn. It's perfectly fine. So all the aluminium bolts on the engine have been replaced, and obviously a new side cover, etc. We have put ARP head studs and nuts in it as well. So it has had those in there, not used standard head bolts on this engine. It's got a different in-tank pump. It's got a brand new, so obviously it had a new fuel tank, or another fuel tank, which was 2020 S3 one, and we put a brand new fuel pump in the tank with an uprated pump in the tank, one we do, so it's had that in there as well. So it's got the uprated high pressure fuel pump as well, and we're running a V5 Turbo Technics turbocharger on here. We've got water meth on the car, it's all plumbed in. This car runs without water meth currently. It can run with it, but I mean it makes really good power without it. And the water meth can be switched on and used for, you know, if he's thrashing the car around for a bit of safety. Doesn't need it, and then we're gonna do. I mean, the car's just been built, so we're gonna let him have the car back. And then we're gonna do map switching on it, and then just give him probably another 20 brake from the water meth. But Dave's not, you know, he's not about trying to make a massive figure. He just wants the car to drive nice.
Yeah, be reliable. Yeah.
So ultimately, that's what he's after. So that's what we're giving him. I mean, it's had a lot. I mean, it's got different splitters on it. It's got a full Scorpion exhaust on as well. So it's got a 3-inch turbo back exhaust from Scorpion, and which is actually for a, I believe it's for a Golf R Estate exhaust.
Oh right, okay.
Which goes on these because
it's
ultimately this floor pan is a Golf R Estate floor pan.
Right. Okay, interesting.
It's not though, because the Golf R Estate wheelbase is the same as a Golf, whereas the Octavia is slightly longer. But you don't have to cut the boot floor on this.
All right, okay.
If you do a Leon or a GTR, you'd have to change the boot floor to a four-wheel drive one. But because the spare wheel well is behind the axle, as is the Golf R Estate, then that's why they run the two exhausts either side and a deep spare wheel well. So you don't have to do the boot floor on these, which is quite cool.
That's interesting. That is cool. Makes life easier, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. It's got 034 Motorsport gear lever bushings. God, learn how to drive well. What else has it got? I can't remember. Should we just put our foot down?
Yeah.
It goes, doesn't it?
Yeah, thing moves. Wow.
That's a Skoda.
It's impressive. Yeah, very impressive.
It's mental, really, isn't it?
It is mental.
I mean, when Dave gets in this, he's going to piss his pants.
Yeah, he's going to be mind-blowing.
I mean, that rips, that absolutely rips.
Shreds. I was going to say, there's not much Skoda left at this point, is there?
No, not really, when you think about it. But yeah, it's a funny car.
Yeah, living out.
You know, it literally just flies. And we're only at 2-bar boost there. That's all we're at.
Right.
So 530 horsepower, I think.
Mint.
2-bar boost.
Mint.
So, and then he done on a cool down run on the dyno, it does 550. That's the most we've done. And then we've pulled it back. I think we pulled the degree out, and then sat it at 530. So this is the Skoda underneath. We do a little video on what's been done. We'll start at the back because that's the main difference. This has now got a rear diff, so it's 4-wheel drive. This has had the 2020 Audi S3 whole rear axle under the car, which includes obviously the Haldex diff. And we've done a 24mm 4-wheel drive now Super Pro roll bar. It's got B16 Bilstein full coilover kit, ride height adjustable and damping adjustable. Scorpion exhaust system from a Golf R Estate, which all fits in. And then it's obviously got a saddle tank now. Fuel tank goes over the top of the prop. All new brackets. We've had to weld in little tabs on some of the points. Some were originally there, and then there was an extra bracket up here that we've had to weld in. And we've moved the exhaust hanger from one side to the other because the 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive go on different sides. And the brake kit is, if we go to the outside, the brake kit is a 352mm Vagbrim Technic kit, Seat Leon Cooper at 280 calipers. And then we've got a stud and nut kit from Racing Line on there as well. New Speed RS wheels. Then underneath we've got a prop shaft here, obviously for the 4-wheel drive system, and then a separate heat shield as well. Then if we go to the front, we've got obviously 4-wheel drive downpipe system, Scorpion downpipe, and then we've put an aluminium subframe in from a Club Sport with a forge insert in there. And then this is like what they put, it's like a deflector that they run on the S3s as well, which we've added. And we've also put the Super Pro lower arms in. Well, the bushes in the lower arms, sorry. We've retained the standard front roll bar because we find that the cars tend to understeer quite a lot when you put a bigger roll bar on the front when you run road tyres. So we've kept the original roll bar on there. We've got the Racing Line 6-pot front brake kit. And then obviously we've got the built engine with the Moroso aluminium gated sump. There's a Wagner intercooler on here which was already fitted, which we did a couple of years ago. And then obviously you've got the transfer box here as well, which is for the 4-wheel drive system. And that sends the power to the back, well, the drive to the rear. And then we're running a Helix clutch in there as well. This is a 6-speed Golf R gearbox. So we run the Golf R, it's quite short ratio as well. So the car feels real quick in between the gears. And that's it underneath.